Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and I am a life and relationship coach. And I primarily coach on feminine energy for women who want to return and reconnect with their feminine energy, women who want to improve their relationships with the men in their lives, with anyone really in your life. And that really starts with yourself. And using the feminine aspect of ourselves, because we have both masculine and feminine energies within us, or you can call them qualities, but we have both of them within us. But so much of us have been stuck in man mode, so to speak, for so long and not even realizing it and not realizing how that's affecting not only our relationships, but our finances, our health even, and yeah, like I said, health, finances, relationships, and just overall our quality of life. So today I wanted to talk with you a little bit about connecting with a man and 3 ways that you can connect with a man. And connecting with men is different than connecting with a woman or with women. And it might be like, duh, of course. But for me, that was something that it wasn't so obvious when I first started learning about all of this. It wasn't so obvious that men and women were so different because my focus was on being equal. And while we are equal, we are also very different. And understanding those differences are really the key to being able to connect better with men. And if you find that you're dating and men seem to be fleeing from you and you don't quite know why, or if you are in a relationship with a man and it seems like whenever you want to talk with him, he's shutting down, or he wants to spend more time alone, or maybe when he speaks, he's speaking over you. Maybe you feel like you're not getting the attention that you want. You don't feel like you're being understood. And because of those things, that you start to feel like maybe this isn't the guy for me, and maybe there's someone out there who is going to be a better fit for me. And while that may be true, right, I'm not going to say that, you know, connecting with one man necessarily means that he's the one for you forever and ever, amen. But that before we ditch and dump a relationship or a potential relationship, really taking a look at what is going on in terms of what's going on for them and what's going on for us. And once we do understand those things, making a bridge to connect with each other and realizing, oh, like I actually do love this person, or I do really like this person, and I do still see a future with this person, and it was really just a misunderstanding. And so, in that way, what I like to do is to try to interpret some of the differences that you might be experiencing so that you can feel better in your relationships, and just in your day-to-day life and how you are going about and going through your life. And that's really what connecting with your feminine side really is about, and your feminine energy. It's about feeling really good, and being led by your heart, and being led by a bigger picture, right? And the bigger picture is to have a relationship that you love and that you want to be in, and having a life that feels good and that encompasses the things that you desire. So, with all of that said, let's talk about the 3 ways 3 ways that you can connect with a man. And these aren't the only ways, but I thought these would be some that you might find helpful. So the first is to slow down and to stop rushing. And the reason that this is really important is because when we are rushing as women, it puts us in a state that you could consider man mode. We are in a mode of producing a result. We're in a mode where we are focused on the goal and we're not really focused so much on the journey. The journey is more of the feminine feel, and the destination is more of the masculine energy. And so what that means is that when we find ourselves, for instance, there's a difference between, you know, making a smoothie and putting in all the ingredients, and here's a banana, and here's some blueberries, and here's some strawberries, and here's a little bit of peanut butter. And but there's a difference between that and I need to make a smoothie. I got to get it done. I got to go. I got to get out the door. And you can see the difference, right? One is like in this flow, and the other one is I have things that I need to get done. And you might feel like, yes, I have to get that things done. I have to go and I have to do certain things. And so it's not negating the fact that you have things that you need to accomplish, but it's allowing yourself plenty of time to be able to do these things to begin with. And you might think, okay, well, I don't have any time. And if that's the case, then it's making decisions, intentional decisions ahead of time. And whatever you are going to do is going to be something that you do have some time for. So maybe you don't have a time for smoothie, but maybe you have time for, a bowl of cereal or oatmeal or whatever it is that's going to allow you to relax and take your time. Those are going to be things that are going to put you more in the feminine mode. And the reason that it helps you to connect better with a man is because for men who are primarily in their male energy, their masculine energy, their primary objective is to produce a result. So they're the ones who are more focused on needs than desires. So they're going to be like, we need to get this done, we need to do this, we need to do that. And producing that result is what makes them feel really good. As opposed to for women, what feels really good is being able to do things in a flow with ease, maybe listening to some music or a podcast and feeling the feelings that you want to feel. And that is where the difference really lies in terms of going in a slower mode versus going in a mode where you're rushing. So if you find yourself rushing around a lot, try, scaling it back just a little bit. Try, slowing down and doing things with intention as you move forward, and start to see how you feel as you do that. So, and I have a list here. So if you see me looking over, it's because I want to make sure that I hit all my points. And there I go, rushing. So the next thing that I wanted to talk with you about is to focus more on appreciation and less on criticizing, if not eliminating criticism altogether. So this one can be a really tough one, and I know that it is a very tough one for me. I'm a person who's definitely been in the mode of criticism for a long, long time, and it's a very bad habit. Not bad habit, but it's a very hard habit is what I was going to try to say. Because I don't want to label things as good or bad, but it is a habit that can be very destructive, and it's a habit that if you do partake in it, like, it's okay, right? Like, this is all, again, a journey, and it's tempting to want to be perfect as we are practicing these skills. But when you have a lifetime of having been very practiced in criticizing and also being criticized potentially whether it's someone in your family who has criticized you a lot, or maybe you've had friends who have criticized you, or teachers or coworkers. It's tempting to really engage in that. But something that's really interesting to note is that criticism for women, it is something that can be a motivation to change, and not a good motivation to change. We want to change because we want to stop feeling the criticism. And this is something that works with women. And so you might notice that a lot of the criticism that you've gotten has been from other women in your lives. And you may have received criticism from men too. I'm not saying that they're not capable of doing that, but you may have experienced a lot of criticism in your life. And so if you have, it's important to know that it's something that, because women have an instinct to be pleasing, which is a larger conversation. It's part of a larger conversation about women's instincts. But because women's instincts are to be pleasing, when we're criticized, it makes us want to change, and it makes us want to do things differently. So the criticism will stop and we will feel as though we are being pleasing. And like I said, it's part of a larger conversation. And what our instincts propel us to do is not necessarily, I mean, it can go into a place that is more trouble for us. Meaning, if we go too far on the pleasing side, then we start to forget about our own needs, which, like I said, is part of a larger conversation. But instincts are the things that we don't really have very much control over in terms of wanting, right? So we want to be pleasing, and so we will comply to criticism. But the point being here is that for men, it's different, where you can criticize a man and it does not motivate him to change. It just makes him angry. And so for men, the biggest need that they have is to feel appreciated. And if a man is not feeling appreciated, then it slowly starts to kill the relationship that you have with him if it is prolonged over a very long period of time. And so what you can do is you can start noticing, where have I been critical? And as you are going through your days and your conversations and your relationships, notice where you want to make a critical remark, and notice how it makes you feel, and notice how the man in your life is responding. And he may just respond by completely shutting down, because especially if it's happened over and over and over again, for a long period of time, it is, the accumulation of all of that is just going to damage the relationship that you have between each other. And so focusing on appreciation and lessening criticism will absolutely, if you do even one of these three things in this that we talk about in this video, I would absolutely recommend focusing on appreciation, genuine appreciation with the man in your life, and watch as his behavior towards you also starts to change. So the third thing is that I've seen at times advice that says, like, don't talk so much, or don't talk about your feelings, which is, I understand where that advice is trying to go, but if you've heard that advice, like, don't talk so much around a man, I do not agree with that advice. And what I would say is, if you have feelings that you want to talk about with a man, that it's really important that the feelings that you share with him are ones that do not cast shame and blame onto him. And you might think, well, if I'm not shaming him and if I'm not blaming him, which are really forms of criticism, right? That we talked about in the last point. Well, if I don't do that, then how is he going to know how upset I am? If I don't show him how I feel, and if I don't, show these big feelings, then how is he really going to resonate with what it is that I feel? And I think the really important thing is to be able to share your feelings first and foremost with yourself. So, being able to sit down, write your feelings, write what it is that you're experiencing, get out all of that initial, you know, anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, any of the things that you're feeling, and allow yourself to get all of those out first in journal form. And that'll take out so much of like the bite to the energy, and it'll help you relax. Whether or not the feelings that you want to share with him are about your relationship, or whether or not they're about just how you feel about something in your life, about work or whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying that every time you feel something, you just have to sit down and write it in a journal. But if you're feeling especially full, right, you're feeling really full of feelings, that's something that can really help take the bite out. And the other thing is to speak with another woman who will be able to experience, or who will be able to understand your feelings in the way that you experience them. Because the way that we experience our feelings as women is different than the way that men experience their feelings. And so when we are in need of empathy and when we are in need of someone to receive our feelings, women can be such a great source for you to be able to do that. And for a long time, I didn't want to do that because I wanted to just share everything with my partner. And while I do share the things that I think and feel with my partner, like I said, to take out the bite first can be really useful so that I don't go into a place of blame and shame and criticism. And then if you also are feeling like, oh, well, I don't have anyone to vent my feelings to take the bite out, then you can also speak with a therapist. You can speak with a coach like me, right, who takes private clients, and you can speak with them and get your feelings out. And also, in the case of a coach, you can also get additional perspective, and I'm sure some therapists do this as well. But you can get additional insight, right, about like, how is he thinking about things, and what is it, how is it that you can formulate what you're saying to him, or in a way that will resonate with him more. And that's something that we talk a lot about in coaching. And it's a practice thing, like I said earlier, right? It's a practice, because for most of us, not most of us, for many of us, and I'll say most if you're watching this video, it's probably not something that you have a lot of practice in, because maybe this isn't something that you were taught. Maybe, it wasn't something that you saw in the relationship between your parents. Maybe it's not something that you saw in the environment around you, how to positively, or effectively rather, communicate with a man in your life, and to see a man communicate effectively with a woman, right? So being able to have that resource, whether it's a therapist, or whether it's a coach, or if it's a girlfriend, right? If you just need to vent and get it out, then you can take that bite out of what it is that you need to share. And so it's not about not talking, and it's not about not sharing our feelings, but it's about sharing our feelings in a way where he doesn't feel like he is the problem, right? And it's something that he can't solve, because men are about solving problems. And if he feels like he's in a corner where nothing that he does is right, then you're going to end up with a man who is shutting down on you. And so, with all of that said, to recap, 3 ways to connect with a man slow down instead of rushing, uh, start appreciating and lessen or stop the criticizing, and keep talking, but in a different way. Choose the sources that you are communicating with initially before you speak with your partner, in order to take the bite out. And also, so that when you are speaking with your partner or with the person you're dating, you're coming to them from a place that they can relate with you more, which is more from a logical place, not to say that you're not logical, but so that the emotional bite is taken out so that he doesn't feel like he's stuck in the middle of a hurricane without knowing how to get out. And when we are able to come with our thoughts organized and the way that we feel has the charge has been taken out, we can then have the conversation with them where we can both feel good and we can let them know what it is that we need from them because they want to support us, which is something that also took me a long time to realize, like, oh my gosh, the man in my life actually wants to support me. He actually wants to help me. And that is a topic for another day. But just the immense desire that men have to help you in so many ways, to help support you in making your life easier and better so that you can feel good, so that you can be happy, that drives men. And I know that it can seem impossible, especially if you have not experienced that before, or maybe you've been in relationships with men where they're just not quite at that place in their life yet, because that's also a thing. Then it's a great thing to learn more about so that you can experience that, and it is possible. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope these tips and these ways to connect with men was helpful for you. And if they were, I'd love to hear from you. I love making these videos. Oh, and my baby is crying. Sometimes, he's on my monitor. He just woke up from his nap. Sometimes, or so many of the times, right when I'm finishing my video, he's waking up. So I'm going to go and attend to my little buddy. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.